This is Yair Davidiy, speaking to you from the land of Israel, speaking to you from an area that has been liberated on the so-called West Bank, new territory and old territory. Where I live is a nation settlement. It's close to Bethlehem of the Bible. And we live here and we work here and we produce these videos here and we write books here, and we are together here with tens, hundreds of thousands of other Jewish families and upstanding citizens and good people. And we intend to stay here, God willing, forever, and to grow and to increase and multiply and to expand and to become what we can. And that is what everyone should strive to do. Everyone should strive to become what they can, the best they can. There are different theories about what a person should do in this life, what a person's approach to life should be. There are different explanations. Philosophers have different explanations, different rabbis have different explanations, but on the whole, the general approach, the most acceptable approach, the one which appeals most to the basic instincts of a person, which was also the common sense approach, is that a person should do the best with what they can. And people make mistakes in the course of life by choosing careers or modes of life or ways of making a livelihood which are not suited to them. The best thing to do, the optimum path to take, is the one that enables a person to use his innate potential, to use those proclivities, those talents that he was born with or that he merited to develop at an early stage in his existence and that he likes doing. So this applies to the individual, it applies to each and every one of us, and it's also applicable in a sense on a tribal basis, because we had 12 tribes of Israel, and each of these different 12 tribes had different proclivities, different tribal inclinations within them. And not only that, within the tribes there were clans and divisions and subdivisions, and some of these divisions also specialized, had their own specialities. And these tribes of Israel are reflected, first of all, they are reflected, they are a reflection. They are, as if to say, not only a reflection, but they are a source of inspirement, one should say, a source of vitality to all the rest of the earth. You could say that all families of the earth somehow or other are associated with one or other of the Israelite tribes. And so this is what the case will be in the future. So that even non-Israelites, every non-Israelite nation somehow or other is linked to one or other of the Israelite tribes, and he may learn from what the particular Israelite tribe that he is attached to. He may learn the pathways that may well be most suitable to himself. But apart from that, that is that is something for another time. At present, we are directing ourselves towards descendants of the lost 10 tribes of Israel, of real, actual, physical descendants of Israel, many of whom we find amongst Western peoples. Originally 12 tribes of Israel, 10 of the 12 tribes were taken into exile by the Assyrians, and by different pathways they all converged in Western Europe, and that is where they are to be found amongst descendants of Western Europe, in Western Europe, and also in the British Isles and Ireland and in Australia and in New Zealand and in America and Canada and South Africa and so on. That is where the lost 10 tribes are. So this message may be considered to be primarily directed to them. And that, in effect, is where we have most of our audience does exist in that area. At all events, we had 12 tribes of Israel, and each tribe its own individuality and its own individual talents that should be developed and deserve to be developed. First of all, we had Reuben. Reuben was the firstborn. Reuben was described as being the firstborn, as if being a firstborn was part of his characteristics, it was part of his character. Reuben had the characteristic of wanting things to go as they should do, of logical thought, of logical development. had the ability to be impulsive, to be even emotionally unstable. On the one hand, on the other hand, he also had this attitude, this attribute of wanting things to be logical and thinking in logical terms, and also of striving for perfection. We find a good portion of descendants of Reuben amongst the French, and that is what we do, and this quality does exist amongst them. We have French perfume, French cooking, French art, French wine. They strive to do things well, and they often succeed in this. And this apparently is a quality of theirs. And people who know or feel themselves to be descended from Reuben should perhaps take this into account and realize that is what they should do. And that is where they are most liable to succeed, in placing the emphasis on these traits that exist amongst them. And we'll say Simeon was somewhat fanatical. Simeon is known for strictness, for being very strict, for being given to violence, but he can direct it. Direct his propensity to violence and his strictness towards upholding the law enforcement, security, also teaching. Simeon is traditionally to be found amongst teachers, administrating and looking after children. And he also is known for a religious zeal, for being religious, and so someone who belongs to Simeon or feels himself might possibly a part of Simeon or has an affinity with Simeon should take this into account. Also we have Levi. The Levites were, the name Levi means accompaniment. The Levites were a group that were known for community. For community orientation. Amongst the Levites there were two sections, the Kohanim, the priests, and the ordinary Levites. These two sections were somewhat different and even in a way antagonistic to each other. They're different qualities. But nevertheless, on the whole, we can say that Levi was good in music, good in mathematics, in doing things like teaching other people, to teaching others, administration, and so this is some of the points that Levites were known for. We also had Judah. Judah was known for being a lawgiver, legality. He was also known for having insights, for being able to discover how things work, science. For developing laws or revealing the laws of nature, the laws of existence, and also the laws of the Torah. This was his task. This was what was given unto him. This is a quality of Judah, and we find this quality amongst the Jewish people. He also had religious zeal, and he was Judah on the whole was good in family commitment and intellectual honesty, at least in that direction. He was straightforward. He did not delude himself. He may have had problems in other areas, but on that point, this is a strong point for Judah. We also have Issachar. Issachar was known for being assiduity, for hard working, for applying himself, for even being able to be a drudge, to putting his shoulder to the bone, as if to say, to working and driving himself. He also had the quality of mathematics, of applying himself, and apparently of technical abilities, and of hiring his services to others and giving good service. So this is a quality of Issachar. You have Zebulon. Zebulon had two apparently contradictory qualities, but maybe they come together. The very name Zebulon means home. It's based on a home life, domestication. On the one hand, on the other hand, Zebulon was known as a merchant, someone who goes and sails across the seas. So perhaps these two attributes of his personality, he was able to coexist with them and bring them together and he is good at selling things, at trading things, and also of doing things around the home. So this is what the Zebulun is. And then we have Dan. Dan was known for strength, physical strength, applying himself, also for judging, also for law enforcement, also for legality, for being lawyers and judges, and also for being able to think and apply himself in unorthodox manner. In an unorthodox manner, he was able to overcome problems in ways that were unexpected. So Dan has hidden traits. Dan can surprise by his ability to come from behind, as if to say, to appear to be backward and lagging behind and suddenly shoot forward. This is a quality of Dan. And he should be aware of it, that he has this quality. Because when in times of trouble it could help him, this awareness. We also have Naphtali. Naphtali had the quality of expressing himself, of being able to express himself, and also being very fast. And perhaps these attributes of speed and of self-expression translate into different personality traits, of being able to formulate things well, to express himself well, to grab, to comprehend quickly things that take people longer. And so this is an attribute of Naphtali. Naphtali is also good in drama and in communications. And then we have Asher. Asher is known for being happy, self-assured, confident, and having an innate happiness, optimism, and in effect being able to do whatever he sets himself to doing without necessarily being driven in any particular direction. But you should know that this is both a lacking and a positive point, that he is a jack of all trades, and if he applies himself he can do anything he wants to, and he has the innate characteristics to get along with other people, to cause happiness and confidence in others. That was an attribute of Asher. The very name Asher means happiness or assurance, and possibly that's where the name assurance comes from. It's a Latin word in its origin, but many Latin words as well as English words are derived from Hebrew roots. And then we have Gad. Gad was known for military proclivity, soldiers, policemen, also community work, also woodworking or carving or designing. These are all qualities of Gad, of putting things together, of being able to both to work alone and to work and to coordinate his activities with others. These are attributes of Gad. And then we have Benjamin. Benjamin was known as friendliness, empathy. He had exceptional talents and physical specialities. Benjamin was good in areas that other people were not, and also he lagged behind in different regions. So it also is a point to know in very often in life. A person is lacking in one area, and God has given him something in another area to compensate that he will be good at. And this is a quality. This is a person should be aware of it. Yeah? So if you're good at something and other people praise you, don't let it go to your head, because you should know that while they praise you, they probably are good at certain things much better than you are. And if you're not careful, your lacking in those areas is liable to be exposed. And you should take what God has given you and try as much as it's possible to ignore the flattery of others when you succeed. Or on the one hand, on the other hand, when people condemn or laugh at you because you fail or appear to fail in certain areas, you should be able to go ahead with and disregard them. Know that the Almighty will help you and will show you how to get through this difficult stage, and that there is an area that you can be very good at, and you just have to find it and to develop it. That is the quality of Benjamin. Benjamin has empathy to others. He has also an attitude of correctness, of doing what is right. And he's also capable of working in coordination with others and teamwork. And then we have Ephraim. Ephraim was one part of Joseph. Ephraim and Manasseh were the two portions of Joseph. They both complement each other and they're different from each other. Ephraim is more noble, aristocratic. He has a sense of noblesse oblige, of doing what is right, of being a gentleman, of doing the correct thing, of doing what must be done, of directing others. He is good at administration. He is also brave. He is also capable of doing many things if he applies himself, and of management and of managing other people. That these are attributes of Ephraim. And also we have he is good in business. Ephraim can also be very good in business. We also have Manasseh. Manasseh is more democratic, more outgoing, more of a friendly type of person, an extrovert on the one hand. On the other hand, he is somewhat less serious, less able to commit himself to others. He spreads himself out a lot. So this more or less prevents him from being able to dedicate himself too much to one individual, or to specific individuals. But he has it. He also has the capitalist touch. The very name Machir, the firstborn son of Manasseh, connotes the principles of capitalism. And he is self-assertive. These are qualities of Manasseh. And then we have Joseph, Ephraim, that is Joseph, meaning Ephraim and Manasseh together. And they are good. They believe in social justice, the enforcement of justice and right, of helping other people. Abraham was blessed, the forefather of the Israelite nation was blessed that he should become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. God also said that he will make Abraham a great and mighty nation, in order that he should bring a blessing upon all the nations of the earth. In other words, this was the purpose for which he was to become great and mighty. Joseph received, all of the tribes received a portion of the blessings. They received their own allocation of blessings, one should say, their own peculiar way of being able to apply the blessings in their own area. And Joseph received the rights of the firstborn, and he was to be blessed in his own way much more than the others. And Joseph also has this attribute of needing to do good for others and do what is correct in the world. So this can translate into a livelihood or a way of life. At all events, this is what the sense of Joseph should keep in mind. And so this is, we have other things, and you could go into this in more depth for each and every tribe. And we cannot be certain which tribe we belong to, but most of us have some general idea. And also we should realize that we have the overall sense of belonging to Israel, of being a part of the Israelite tribes. And the Israelite tribes, their strong points are the Bible. Even if you don't really believe in the Bible, don't know much about the Bible, never really read very much of the Bible, the principles of the Bible of biblical thought and of biblical orientation are what makes us stronger than other people, what sets us apart from other nations. So this is the principle we're talking about, the principle of not necessarily seeing how we have something in common with other people, but seeing where we are different from them, where we are better than them, where we excel more than they do, whilst being aware that if we are better than them than others in some ways, we are liable to be less as good as them in other fields. We should be, as I said, we should be aware of flattery, aware of letting things go to our head, and also be aware of disappointments. We should trust in God Almighty, and the Lord God of Israel will help us and will guide us. May God bless all of you. Thank you.